Hi, good evening, everyone. Hey, Jay, no problem tomorrow. Actually, let me go ahead and. Hi, good evening, everyone. We're just waiting for Chef Natasha to come on and join us, and she'll be making some good food for this lovely holiday season. So, hope you all brought your appetite and your questions for Natasha this evening. My name is Imani Prince. I was featured in WeINSPIRE a few months back for my catering company based in London.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, Chef. How are you?
Good. Thank you guys so much for having me. This is the first time I've ever did an Instagram live. So I'm excited and nervous. And I was like, how does it all work?
No worries at all. So my name is Imani. For those that are joining, and I was featured in WeInspire a few months back for my small, very small catering company based in London. I obviously am not British. I'm American. My husband and I lived in London for 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
In which time, ironically, around this time 3 years ago is when I got the catering bug, so to speak. And it all started because they don't have Thanksgiving in London. Yeah. So I did a very small, well, I thought it was small. My husband has other opinions. Small Thanksgiving for us. And then that grew into us renting out our church hall and having a very large uh,
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving. But with COVID this year, everyone's doing virtual Thanksgiving. Yeah, so that's a bit about me.
And I am Natasha Ford, aka Natasha Chef, as you can see on my apron. And I had the honor of speaking with Ben and Jamal here in North Carolina, and they work with the Be Inspired movement. I am looking forward one day to hopefully sharing my story as well. But I actually love to teach cooking classes. Hey, hey everyone! I like say, hey chef. I love teaching cooking classes. I love people getting together and learning how to cook, bake, together. Whether it is, I've done cooking classes where people cooked and compete against each other in corporations, and it was so much fun. Or they did like weight loss groups together. I've taught cooking classes to inner city kids in New York many years ago and exposed them to eating more vegetables and just exposing them to so much culture. And it was so amazing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've also recently over a couple of months ago, well, for about 2 years, and I just recently stopped doing that. I was actually teaching for the state of North Carolina, where I taught adults with disabilities
Oh,
how to
wow.
cook professionally so that they can get really good entry level positions in the industry. So I was doing that for about 2 years. And so now, fast forward, I am actually working for myself because I was laid off when the COVID and everything took place. But I'm also, I enjoy cooking so much and teaching people how to cook that's what my passion is and that's my drive. So I teach online cooking classes because of COVID. And the whole focus is for people to use it as a tool to just bond with each other and to create beautiful memories. So that's me. And that's what I love, 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 love doing. I want the husbands and wives to cuddle upon each other and cook in the kitchen. I'm sure you know about that, or whoever's dating, and to, reignite some sparks of, I remember the first time we ate out and stick food in each other's mouths and, or the father and the daughters or whoever to just jump in that kitchen and cook together. And then at the end of that experience, had great conversation, great food, and a great time. So that's me in a mouthful.
Yeah, and you definitely tapped onto something because food is an unspoken love language. It really is.
It is. I mean, I'm sure you can tell me a story, but there's so many stories of us. Like, I'm from Barbados originally, by the way, and I moved to the U.S. when I was a teenager. So I've lived here more than I lived there, but I have so many fond memories growing up as a child, just being in the kitchen with my grandmother, being a Caribbean woman, and just watching my grandmother cook all kinds of food, and then really having that opportunity to, have a family dinner. I mean, that's something to me that's missing. Like, people are not having family dinners and conversations. They're having it in front of the TV. And I remember just sitting there and watching my dad and my uncles and my grandmother and sometimes my mom and everybody just get into these interesting conversations. And me as a little child sitting on my high chair going, just in the midst of it all.
Oh, yeah, you definitely, especially if you grow up in a large family, you always hear some stories going on in the kitchen. Even now, so my mom is Asian, my dad is African American. So my mom's side of the family, Thanksgiving was like a big deal. We would bring out the folding tables, and just have a whole array of food. And every year, I can't think of a year where someone's not fussing at somebody over who did this to the turkey, and just the memories of smelling the food. So that smell memory, and then seeing just the food evolve even. It's an interesting journey to watch what, happens to be like, oh, it's just cabbage. And then it turns into something totally different. You're like, I never thought to use cabbage that way. I never thought to use this seasoning in that way. So food is definitely, it's a barrier breaker, a generational barrier breaker, I think.
It is. And it's a language. I mean, it subsumes everything because, you can sit at a table and you not even understand a lick of what each other is saying.
Yeah.
Or you could be a different race, a different culture, everything, a different gender, and you could sit down and have a meal and realize you have that's as beautiful as music, so.
It definitely is. It definitely is. So I know this evening you have something really tasty for us. So can you tell us a bit about what inspired you to select this dish particularly?
I was ready to kill Jamaro because I was like, ooh, because why did you tell me it was Thanksgiving? I was like, okay. I'll tell you a couple of reasons why I like that dish. Hi, Isha, everybody saying hi. One of the things that I really like about this dish is this. This dish, I remembered when I went to the Natural Gourmet Institute for Culinary, and they taught me about stir fry with soba noodles. And I was like, this is so amazing. Oh, my God. It was the way they did it. And then I basically took the recipe and I changed it around and made it my own. And I actually had the opportunity to teach a lot of kids in New York in inner city schools how to do stir fry without meat and how to enjoy it. And I am not a vegetarian by no means. So, but I was able to introduce them to so many vegetables. And they was like, Miss Ford, this tastes like the Chinese store. Like, it's so good. And Being that I'm from Barbados and I'm a Barbadian woman and I'm from the Caribbean, I had to add my island twine in here. So I have like my Barbadian hot sauce. I know island people
Ooh.
will shit. This is no joke to play with, you know. But my Caribbean hot sauce, I bring it back with me every time I go back home, and it lasts for a long time. And one day I'll teach people how to make that too. And then adding things like fresh ginger and the fresh garlic, you know, really kind of brings home that Caribbean, that little intervention or of my Bajan, I should say. And so the reason why I really like this is because children love this dish for some reason. And I like the fact that you introduce them to so much vegetables. And it's super duper easy. The hardest thing on this dish is to just get everything prepped up. And if you feel like you don't want to slice and dice the carrots, and I'll show you some of the stuff I kind of pre-slice, you can actually get from the store already cut up.
Oh, okay.
So it's super easy. So like for instance, and I know I have to turn things around. Like I said, you might see my hand, but not see me. I know you can see okay. I'm still learning how to use Instagram, folks, for live.
Take your time. Take your time. So I do have a question. The hot sauce you showed, is that only available in Barbados and not available here?
You can probably find. I've seen a variation of it in Walmart, but you can actually make it yourself. Ooh. And I know the people in Barbados are probably ready to lynch and burn me for that. I can actually teach a class on that. Because it's actually the Scotch bonnet peppers and mustard, for the most part, and some turmeric. So you can actually make this yourself. It's really easy to make. It's just super duper hot, and it will last you a very long time. Like, I'll tell you a joke. I don't mind cooking with it, but in the Caribbean, people like sprinkle it on top of their food when they're done. I don't like that. If I see it, once it's done, I'm going to pick around it because it's so hot. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to suck my finger. And I'm not sure many of you probably sucked your finger. And the parents will put hot sauce on your finger to stop you from sucking your finger.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness.
So I'm still scarred from it. But like, okay, for instance, these are carrots. Now, the traditional person is not going to have the patience for their life to sit and shred carrots like this, right? I use the mandolin, and I'll show you guys, where did I put it? I put it back up, but I use the mandolin. You can actually go to the store and buy shredded carrots. So that's the option that you have, right? I did the same thing with sweet potato. I love putting sweet potato on my stir fry, even though you might not traditionally see sweet potato in stir fry. I think sweet potato makes stir fry taste really interesting. You could eat sweet potato like this in the summertime raw if you wanted to, because it's quite edible. But I feel like it adds another layer of Caribbean, very tropical, tasty flavors to your stir fry, right? The same thing with mushrooms. I cut the mushrooms up myself, but you can buy these at the supermarket already pre-cut. If you want to really not bother yourself with all the dicing and slicing. I feel as though, mushrooms are super easy to cut up. I'm going to show you guys how to do a little knife lesson in a second. But the thing about it is that I like the fact that you can actually have children cut up those mushrooms. I know you guys can see my hands, but not see me. I'm kind of bending down because I'm trying to position the camera so you guys can see the cutting board. Can you see the cutting board now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me pull this down here, twist this around. I have like a little arm here. Can you guys see my hands in the cutting board?
Yep.
Good. So if you guys are ready, you had the recipe. It was on the website. I have some of my ingredients a little pre-done. I'll show you guys. But I want to give you first cooking lesson 101. So I am going to put my, I have my water here. As you guys can see, and I had it boiling from before and simmering. I'm going to turn it back up in a second. And I'm going to put my lo mein soba noodles. If you want to do rice, you can do rice with this dish as well. I like udon noodles or soba noodles, which I'm going to dump in there pretty shortly. You just have to put a sprinkle of salt to taste in the water. And then I have you want to have a really good wok. If you get a wok that has, and I had one that has the coating inside of it. You want to make sure, you know, those woks are nonstick. They're really great. If you're going to get a stainless steel wok, it's not nonstick, you know, get a really good brand. I'm not an advocate. I'm not advertising for anyone's brand, but I like Alclad. You know, make sure you have a really good wok because, one, we're not really cooking the traditional stir fry way, and I'm sure you know this because you have an Asian background. But usually the woks are sitting on top of these huge butane burners with the flames going up the whole side. You know, that's not your kitchen. But you're going to spike this thing up really high. And once I'm halfway through the cooking, you know, some more to cut in, I'm going to show you guys how to ramp it up on really high because when you stir fry, the whole goal is to keep moving the vegetables around so they don't burn. And you're really cooking with the sides. So it touches the bottom and goes, and then it, you know, dances around the side. It's like a symphony, you know, all together. So I did wash my hands, guys, before we got started, just so you know. Washing hands is very important. So I tell everyone, you want to grab the knife, you know, the back of the knife. You want to put your thumb to one side of the knife, and then you want to put your pointer to the other side of the knife. And you want to wrap the rest of your fingers firmly around the knife handle. The reason why you want to hold your knife this way, and this is a chef knife, is because you get a better handle on your knife. If you hold your knife like this, which most people do with just the bare hand, you don't have as much control over your knife, right? And, you know, so this is the absolute safest way to make sure that you keep all your pointers on when you're cutting. And then obviously the traditional bear claw, you want to keep your hands and the knife going together in a rocking forward motion. So onions. So if you guys can see, our onion has, if you look at onions, you'll see some little lines inside the onions, right? We're going to cut along those lines because it's going to kind of give us a little, almost like a little, I can't remember the word right now, but it's almost like it's giving us a little guide, yes, to cut our onion. So we're going to take our hands, and I always tell people, position the food where you're most comfortable cutting it. Don't position your body, position the food, and make sure that you're nice and comfortable when you're cutting things. So I'm going to have my bear claw, and I'm going to continue cutting in my onion. You can turn the onion the other way. You can actually take your knife and lean it sideways if you want to. And the whole goal is to cut nice, thin slices, right? So good. We already have our onions there. Make sure if you have little pieces of the onion root that you take that off because that's not edible. Okay, let me take off some more of this root. I didn't catch all of it. All right. And another little tip I always tell everyone when I'm cooking and I'm teaching cooking classes, right? I used to have sometimes, you know, sometimes 10 and 12 kids in a class and everybody kept their fingers. I've never had a finger casualty ever before, right? So I always tell everyone a safe cutting board is a clean cutting board is a safe cutting board. If you look at my cutting boards closely, I only cut one thing at a time and I keep one thing at a time on my cutting board, right? If I turn around and I show you this little plate, I bought this from the dollar store. I actually usually buy bowls from the 99-cent store and little glass dishes and a tray. And I will look at my recipe and I will put all of my ingredients individually in little containers. I'm going to toss all of this in a dishwasher when I'm done. Or if you don't have a dishwasher and you have kids, you know, kids become the unofficial dishwasher.
Ain't that the truth?
In that world, right? But the reason why I like it like this is because if you are cooking with your children, this gives them the opportunity to read a recipe. You can have them measure things in individual bowls, you know, and everything is neat, is tidy, is concise, and you can have a child stand. Like I can actually have a 5-year if I wanted to stand right next to me and say, okay, I'm handing you the mushrooms, throw that one in next. I'm handing you the carrots, throw that one in next. You know, and you can help them to identify, show me where the sweet potato is, show me the cauliflower, show me the spinach, And
Mm-hmm.
it gives you an opportunity to learn how to cook with you when you separate everything and everything is not just like a big pile of mess. So to all my messy cooks out there, get bowls. All right, so I'm grabbing one little bowl because I forgot one bowl and I call it my little garbage bowl. All right, the next thing I'm going to cut up is I have sweet bell peppers, whatever you want to call it. And so I kind of clean these out already for the sake of time. And I'm going to cut them lengthways. And I'll tell you this, when I'm cutting, I cut and I push forward. Now, the interesting thing about cutting bell peppers is this. It is easier if your knife is not so sharp. Peppers and tomatoes tell on you. But it's easier for you to cut on the inside of the pepper, whereas it's skin side down,
Mm-hmm.
than when you cut this way, skin side up. It just makes it a harder task. So if you cut your peppers open and then you take out all the seeds and the white connective pieces, turn it skin side down, the insides up, and it makes it an easier task to cut some nice pieces, even if you're dicing up your peppers.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm almost done that. And you notice I only put one set of pepper at a time. I don't have a bunch of peppers because, again, if I was teaching a child, I like to let food to be so easy and so approachable that I want children to understand organizational skills. When I'm teaching them that, I wanted them to see safety, and I just say, always use the opportunity to teach each other, especially young kids. It gives them an opportunity to focus. And in our world today, where there's so little focus, this is a great way of teaching them how to focus on one thing at a time, if there's only one or two things at a time on the cutting board. So the next thing I'm cutting is our ginger. So I'm going to teach another little cutting technique where you see people doing this a lot on television, right? So basically, you're going to take your fingers, put it on top of your cutting board. You want to take where your fingers bend on your knuckles. You want to keep all those fingers up there because you want to see where they are. And you're going to kind of rock back and forth. So the tip of your knife is not really moving. It's just the belly of your knife, right? So if anyone has questions, please answer away, even though I'm cutting and cooking.
Yeah, so I know this. I know the stir fry is somewhat of like a quick thing, and I was thinking this could be good for like a segue into like even Thanksgiving. So you know how some people you just wait all day for food. You can make a stir fry the day before and then have it on hand for when people come. It'd be somewhat of a snack or like an introductory meal.
Correct. Yes, you can. Oh, for sure. There's no rule, especially with everything happening with COVID. I feel like Thanksgiving shouldn't have no more rules. No more traditional Thanksgiving with mashed potatoes and turkey. We need to, I know for me, I'm bothering one of my friends because her uncle makes a Cajun brine and rub and smokes the turkey for hours. And I am all about doing something. I'm trying to tell you, and I'm not even a turkey eater. But let me tell you something. I am looking for. I hope he says yes. He'll do it for me because everybody's practicing social distancing. I'm like, listen, just make the turkey for me, and I'll just come pick it up.
Yes, that good. That's some husbands from Texas, and they did it was a deep fried like Cajun turkey. It was just so juicy,
Yeah, and I don't, like I said, I'm not a big turkey eater because how dry turkey is. I like turkey wings, and I usually put barbecue sauce in them and stick them in the oven with some Caribbean smothered with Caribbean jerk seasoning and barbecue sauce and stuff like that. But and right now, okay, guys, I'm cutting my garlic and I'm doing the same thing. Do you see that my fingers are all on top of my thing, and I'm basically having full control over my knife? I am the same way. I feel like, and again, why do we stick to these weird traditions? Like, you have the God-given right to do anything with your food and make it yours, right? Yep. I mean, stir fry is not traditionally from the Caribbean. Well, that's not necessarily true because I tell people the Caribbean is like the fusion collision of the world. But it's, stir fry traditionally is known as an Asian cuisine. And, but the Caribbean folks, we have took it and made it our own. And that's the whole goal. You take food and make it your own. So I have some cauliflower here with some broccoli. I also have some spinach with my stir fry. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to turn my wok on and I'm going to rev it all the way up to high. Because like I said, you are cooking with the heat and you're moving it fast. All right, hold on. I'm going to have 2 spatulas, right? I'm going to be working with 1 spatula, and then once all the stir fry gets in here, I'll use 2. I have my hoisin sauce and my stir fry sauce in here. I also put a little bit of fish sauce. I'm going to sprinkle my little all-purpose seasoning, like I said on the recipe, with my garlic in there, right? And I'm going to put my Caribbean pepper sauce, a dash of that, inside of there. Like I said, this is something you use ever so lovingly. If you don't like a lot of spice, this is probably not the pepper sauce for you. You want to use it with lots and lots of care. If you like a kick and you can handle the kick, you know, for sure. So you want to take your sauces and mix it all together in here.
A question was asked, what stir fry sauce did you use?
I would have to wait, hold on, I'll go grab it from the refrigerator. Hold on 1 second. I am using Kikkoman. So I'm using the Kikkoman and stir fry sauce. The only thing that's not in the recipe, and I forgot to put, and I do apologize, that I am going to put in here is I'm going to use a little bit of rice vinegar. So the reason why I'm taking so long to start the stir fry is because I want my pan smoking hot. You know, right there where it's almost on the verge of burning the food, but it's really not going to. Because like I said, traditional stir fry is you have a wok on top of a butane burner and there are flames everywhere. So like you said, it's quick, it's to the point, you know, and it's really delicious. So I am actually going to drop my noodles in now and turn my heat upon my noodles.
And those are the udon noodles, correct?
Yes. So soba noodles are gluten-free. For those of you who might be concerned about gluten, I'm using udon noodles. Make sure you don't put the bag, this right here. This is not edible. I dropped one in there by mistake. But I'm using udon noodles. You can use soba. If you don't like noodles, you can use rice. Like I said, you know, brown rice is really good. You can even use white rice. It's totally your choice. You know, but I really love this with a noodle dish. So just picking something out my water. Okay. All right. So I am going to move my cutting board out the way because I am finished with that. So 1 second. And I'm going to pull my ingredients forward so you guys can see it. Can you see all these ingredients here for the most part?
Oh, we see all those colors. Yes, we do.
Yes. And that's what I love about stir fry. It looks like a rainbow. And you want rainbows in your food because rainbows mean you're getting all your phytonutrients and you want something delicious. And you're going to have some of these, as we stir fry, it's going to get crunchier. Some things will get softer. You know, you're going to have so much different textures. It's almost like having a party in your mouth. I have my soy sauce. I have my olive oil here. And I have my salt and everything else all laid out ready to go. All right. So the first thing, you know, I'm going to kind of test it for 1 second and see how it behaves. Good. So my oil is rolling and it's ready. You see it's starting to smoke. Right? So I'm going to put my oil in here. And the first thing I'm going to put in is my onions. Right? And so now I'm going to go from high to about a medium high because I don't want things to burn without cooking first. So can you guys see this?
Yep. And you want to keep the food moving around, correct?
Yes. So when you stir fry, you want food to keep moving around. And if you guys can see, look at my onions. Look at that beautiful caramely color. Do you notice I haven't put any salt in here as yet? Because I want my onions to start caramelizing a little and having that beautiful golden brown look. Not too brown. And I'm going to put a little bit of salt at a time. So I'm going to salt as I go, and then I'm going to taste as I go. But with stir fry, everything has to keep moving. This is when kids will have a blast because then you'll have kids saying, just keep stirring. right? So then the next thing I'm just gonna do is put in my carrots. And the reason why I'm gonna put carrots in way before I put any garlic or anything else in there, because again, I want my vegetables that are a little tougher to cook some more. And I'm turning the dish so you guys can see that. Right? And like you said, I'm gonna keep things moving and grooving. So my stove goes all the way up to like a 9, and now I'm down, my stove top, I'm actually probably between an 8 and a 7. I'm gonna turn it back up to 8 again because I want it to keep going. So then the next thing I'm gonna put in is my sweet potato. And like I said, if you never tried sweet potato and stir fry before, try it. You will not regret it. It actually gives it a really good taste. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of salt, not too much. The reason why I'm using so little salt as well is because stir fry has in soy sauce, it has in the hoisin, and all those different sauces have that umami, salty, sweet taste. And you don't want your stir fry to be overly salty. I've had moments where I added salt, and then people are like, your stir fry is a little too salty. So it's like little pinches of salt at a time, little tiny pinches. So then the next thing I am going to put in is my mushrooms. So I'm going to put all those mushrooms, and I'm using baby Bella mushrooms.
Now, is there a specific order that you want that the food should be going into the pan, or it's just as is, as long as you lightly salt along the way?
I would say I would probably go with, if you look at the recipe, for the most part I have everything in the order. If you notice, for the most part I have the onions first. If you have some other rougher stir fried vegetables, or you can leave them, but the whole goal is to put the vegetables that are a little bit that can take heat without, burning really quickly in there first. And keep moving them around, and then start adding other vegetables. Now, if you run into an issue like my pan is a little dry, and it happens, it could be the temperature in the kitchen, it could be the change of weather, you can actually take a little bit of water, not much, from your pot where you're boiling your noodles, right? And you can use a little bit of water in your pan without adding too much oil all the time, because what will happen is that the water will steam the vegetables a little bit, and it will continue to let the vegetables cook. If you want to, you can still add a little bit of oil in there. I would say don't add too much oil. I'm going to add a drop more oil in here. The reason why I don't want to add too much oil to my stir fry is because I don't like, and I know you probably had it before, when you went to a store and you had very oily stir fry.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I would say I'm just adding 1 more teaspoon of oil. I don't want to add any more. All right. So now I'm going to add my bell peppers. And I'm going to add my cauliflower and broccoli. And if you notice, it's such an easy cleanup, right?
It is. It really is. And it also helps you keep track of what you've already went in and added, what's left to add. Yeah.
Correct. And so, like I said, when I taught the classes, even with adults who had autism, this actually helped them to organize things really well. And they were like, and they were able to follow the recipe so much easier because they were able to line things up step by step and keep things super duper organized. So if you are working with anyone who, and this is just me advocating for people who have disabilities, if you're working with someone on the spectrum and they can function for themselves, if you can teach them how to organize everything step by step and mark it off, believe me, they can cook just about anything. So now I'm actually going to add my ginger and my garlic. The reason why I chose to add these once everything was already in there versus adding it earlier on is because I don't want to burn my ginger and garlic. Why? It's not a nice tasting thing in your food. I know the the food Nazi would say, oh, it's carcinogenic and this and that, which is true, right? But who wants burnt garlic in their food? You know, roasted garlic and burnt garlic are two different things. And like I said, I'm going to add some more water again. I'm actually going to get some more water from my pasta. I don't want to add any more oil. Right? So
It's looking
now,
really good.
thank you. Now I am going to add my soy sauce. So I have my soy sauce. That's going to allow that to steam. Keep mixing it some more. And then I am going to add my stir fry sauce that I made, right? So I'm going to add about half of that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is about a half a cup of the sauce. When I mix the stir fry, the seasonings, you know, the hoisin, I put a little fish sauce in here. You know, I'm going to use about half of that. My noodles are still boiling. Does anyone have any questions?
So what would be a good workaround if you don't have a wok?
I would say use a frying pan.
Okay.
If you don't have a wok, you can do this in a frying pan, but just make sure that it's one that has a deeper sides. But you're gonna, if you use a pan, you're gonna have to make sure that you can actually turn the heat really high to keep the pan going. Okay. All right, so my noodles are just about done. So I'm gonna put these guys right in there. So the udon noodles, soba noodles, they cook really fast. There's some, you know, they don't take that long to cook. So I'm going to turn off the back of my stove. And I'm still reserving. I have spinach I'm going to put close to the end because spinach, as you know, is super duper soft.
Oh, yeah. That cooks in a flash.
Exactly. But I still want my spinach to have a little life to it. I want it not to look like it doesn't, you know, like it gets lost in there. Mm-hmm. If you want to put kale, you can put kale a little earlier because kale can take the heat beaten. But spinach is not something that can take a whole lot of heat. I mean, it wilts, but then, like you said, it will get lost in there, the little green stuff inside the food.
Yep.
Yep. So now, as you can see, I am taking both, see, so it's almost like I'm kind of lifting from the middle, as you guys can see, and I'm moving my food around still, letting everything cook together. And I'm going to use the rest of my sauce. All right. And I am just about done. This is pretty much done. Actually, we are, and believe it or not, how long did that take? I don't even know. A couple of minutes?
Yeah, 15, 20 minutes maybe.
15, 20 minutes. The longest thing, like I said, for this particular recipe is the whole fact of prepping. And if you want to skip some of the prepping, you know, just use it. Oh, I forgot to put a little dash of rice vinegar in there. Just a dash, just to give it an acidic, vinegary taste. Not much. So that probably is about a half of a teaspoon. Remember, vinegar has a pungent taste. So you don't want to do too crazy. Mm-hmm. So now this is practically done. I'm going to grab a plate. 1 second. I'm going to move all of my stuff out the way. Let me wipe my counter down. I am coming. Let me wipe that counter down for you guys. And I'm going to show you the finished product. And trust me, if you want to add meat, you can. But a lot of times, and I've had, like I told you, I've had little kids tell me, Miss Ford, I didn't miss the meat. I didn't miss it at all. You know, Chef, I did not miss the meat. This is a very filling, you know, recipe. And look at all those colors. And if you want to, you can add sesame seeds to that. I'm going to use a little bit of sesame oil, just a dab. If you don't like sesame oil, you don't have to add it. But I'm gonna add a drizzle of the sesame oil on top of there. You can put sesame seeds. You can also use, I have some seaweed snacks. You can put some seaweed snacks on top of it as well. You can take some little nori strips. I'm gonna grab some, and you can rip it up and put it right on top of there like that.
Oh, it's like a garnish. Okay.
Yep, as a garnish. So you can take, I love nori chips. Again, this is how you can expose your kids to things that are healthy for them, but also tasty, or the adult children who don't like vegetables, who are junk food eaters. You can introduce it to them. And, this is pretty much the dish right here.
That looks so good and colorful. Mm.
Yeah. So I am back. Anyone has any questions, about the dish? Does anyone else have any? Did anyone else cook along with me? I'm still learning how to do this.
Oh, Becky S. Bite said they cooked along, and she also asked if you can send that plate to New Jersey.
Sure. Tell her by all means, I sure will. Yep. Okay. Jamaro said I just kept adding oil. No. So why you don't want to have too much oil, like I said, is because you don't want it to be too greasy. If you find that your pan sticks a little bit, then all you have to do is add the water from your pasta. If you don't want to use the water from your pasta, just keep a bottle of water or a glass of water close by and just keep throwing it in, because what it'll do is it will help steam the vegetables, but it will also help the stuff from sticking. So it kind of does 2-in-1, kind of job.
So when cooking vegetables, use water over oil.
Right.
Water instead of oil.
Or vegetable stock or chicken stock, but just remember stock has flavor to it, and just be mindful of the flavor you're adding to your food. So if you don't want the flavor of stock tasting food, then I would say the best bet is stick to water.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier your grandmother was somewhat of the inspiration for you to get into cooking.
Yes. So for me, like I said, I love the fact that my grandmother cooked for the community. I remembered even when I went back home, because I usually try to go home every year. I haven't been home since last year, obviously because of COVID and everything else. But I remember, like, there was this young man who, he's not mentally stable altogether. And he, doesn't really have family to support him. And he lives in the community. And my grandmother would still cook when she was still cooking. And she would put his food, in his little bowl. And he would come, not say anything, but his head down, grab the food. But then when he's finished, he'll come back the next day and bring his empty bowl and look for his other bowl of food. And I feel like, and I remember even when in New York, when we had the big blackout happen from the hurricane, the last major hurricane we had in New York, and a lot of us didn't have electricity. I was fortunate enough where in my complex, we got back electricity much quicker than a lot of people. And I just decided, let me make some soup and maybe cook food and give to people that I knew in the community that still didn't have electricity. So to me, food is very universal in terms of you can show someone you care about them just by feeding them. It's something that's important. Everybody has to eat, and just giving someone a decent meal was very important. I learned that through my grandmother.
That's beautiful. Yeah. I can definitely attest to that. Food is an unspoken love language. It's a hug. It's a pat on the back. It's a job well done. It's all of that. It is. It's all of that.
Do you have any favorite food memories from childhood?
Too many. So one, it would be between my mom's baking for Christmas. So she would literally shut down the kitchen for about a week, and she would bake. There'd be cookies everywhere, sweet potato pie everywhere in the kitchen. It smelled like those, what are those candles? The Yankee candles, how they have like it was literally that in the house for about a week and a half, maybe. Starting from no, December 10th to the
Mm-hmm.
25th, because that's when she would do her deliveries on Christmas Day, to
Mm-hmm.
anybody and everybody. That was their gift: a pie, a pound
Mm-hmm.
cake, or some cookies. And then my grandmother has this big cast iron pot. And I don't know who's going to get it when she passes away, because we all going to fight over it. That pot is legendary. I'm telling you. It has burns on it
Yes.
from all of the
Yes.
dishes she's made, but it is still trucking along. It's been in
Yes.
family photos, like in the background, for years, since before I
Yes.
was even born, and I'm 28. So that pot has been in this family for quite some time, quite some
Right.
time. So between that one pot and the amount of dishes that my grandmother has made within that one pot,
Mm-hmm.
whoo, that yeah,
I
she
can
could burn.
imagine. And I'm
Yeah,
sure that that pot is filled with so much memories. And so when everything that touches that pot has all that memory in it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
It's kind of like when I studied food therapy in New York, one of the things we got at our graduation was this little poster, and I have it in my kitchen, and I want to share it with you guys. Ooh, see if everyone can see it. It says, cooking has nothing to do with the ingredients and everything to do with love.
Mm,
You know, and I keep this
yeah.
in my kitchen window to remind myself that that is the honest to God's truth. Like, I want people, when I teach you how to cook and bond, I want people to understand that cooking has absolutely nothing to do with the ingredients. The
Mm-hmm.
ingredients, yes, they matter, but they don't matter as much as the love that are going to be poured into that food. And if
Yeah.
you're I don't know if you've ever ate food from somebody in a bad mood. You know, like when someone is in a bad mood and they cook, you can taste the difference.
Yeah.
Yes. Don't matter if they cook that recipe the exact same way. And if somebody is in a great mood, you can taste the difference. When people pour love in food, they can be boiling a hot dog, and that will be the best tasting hot dog in the world. It
I
is,
love it.
you
I
know.
love it. I love it.
Yes, yes, yes. And if somebody cook with in a terrible mood and they can be giving you a 5-star meal, you go, oh, okay. And you know, we don't try to be offensive. Be like, oh, you know, my regards to the chef in our Julia Child's voice. But then we go, okay, I'm going to find somewhere else to eat because this food
Yeah.
was not that great.
So what are some
Yeah.
other dishes that you've made that you're really proud about? Because that stir fry is looking good. But what are some
Thank
other
you.
dishes?
Gosh, what do I love to cook? I mean, I say I'm a Caribbean girl. If you can get me to do some stew or curry chicken, is on like the crack of dawn. But I have a major affinity for Thai food. I
Mm-hmm.
love Thai food. Maybe that's why I like so much stir fries and all these different things. But I love cooking it on my own and adding my Caribbean flavors to it.
Mm-hmm.
I love Italian food. I am a diehard sucker for good Italian food. And again, I love making fresh pasta. I love teaching people how to sit there with the flour and roll out and make your own spaghetti, fettuccine, your own potato gnocchi. Like, I love, 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 love doing that. I actually have a coconut rum signature sauce that one day I'll put in a bottle and sell
Mm-hmm.
that I love people. It tastes almost like vodka sauce without the cream or the cheese, and
Ooh.
I love cooking it.
Ooh.
Yep.
I'm intrigued with that now.
Yes, I love it. So, I mean, I just, you know, and I'm not the big fanciest baker in the world, but I'm learning how to bake even better. And I've been trying to take some online classes as well. But again, if I can sit with my girlfriends and we bake, even if the cake comes up lopsided, I don't care. As long
Yeah.
as we get a chance to just have some girlfriend conversations, some laughs, some, you know, that kind of thing. That's what
Mm-hmm.
I love. I love doing cooking with other people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what are some tips or advice you would give to someone looking to get into cooking, whether it be professional or just something, you know, they want to expand their horizons, cooking more for their family?
Well, if you're trying to just cook recreation for your family, grab everybody and get in that kitchen. Get people to put the cell phones down, turn the TV off for a hot minute, find easy, good recipes that are simple to start off. Don't try to start off cooking like Gordon Ramsay. You're going to get frustrated very quickly, right? Don't try to take I still don't know how to take a piece of fish and cut slices of potato and put it like that. And I mean, I probably could if I wanted to, but why? So get simple, make things like simple French fries from scratch. If you're cooking with children, little cookies, teach them how to make a cookie from scratch, their own granola. So easy to do, stuffed apples with granola, so I would say make it simple so that you can have time to talk and laugh and have conversation. How was your day? How are you doing with all this stuff going on in our country, with COVID and everything going on in our world? Like, what's going on, So I say do that and make mistakes. Make mistakes and don't beat yourself up. I took food styling, and I've actually worked for a major network years ago where we styled food for television.
Oh,
the food that is styled is not edible. The food in the magazines, guys, have been digitally photoshopped. So if you cook something from a cookbook and it does not look like the magazine, stop getting mad. Unless listen, we in food styling you learn how to take chicken and use browning and paint chicken to make it look like it's cooking as raw as life. So stop thinking that your food should look like something that came out of a magazine. Cook and eat it and enjoy it. Make it look presentable enough on a plate and have fun. If you're a vegan or vegetarian or whatever you are, don't force your ideologies on someone. If you're a meat eater, don't make someone who's a vegetarian uncomfortable, but get together and cook and have a good time, right? And if you're looking to cook professionally, I will say cook with your heart. If you're looking to open up a restaurant, don't just learn how to cook really well, learn the business of food. Understand how to cost your recipes, understand how to run an effective business, how to properly charge for things, and don't apologize for your prices.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one because you'll shortchange yourself with that. Ooh,
Correct.
I learned. Yep, I learned that.
Yes, don't apologize for your hard work, and make sure that when you craft out a recipe, you do catering, make sure that, and this is something I learned from I'll tell you, get a mentor, get a business coach or a mentor. And if they charge you, if you have to go get a loan to pay them, you'll get that 20 times what you put out, right? I still get mentors. I mean, if you want to do a free one, you can work with SCORE or the SBA or whatever's in your local community as far as the business administration assistant. But learn business, understand that you have to pay you. And if you have people helping you, you need to pay them and pay everyone fairly. So if, you're going grocery shopping to buy the groceries to buy food, if you are, prepping that food, staying up all night, creating that whole menu, you should be charging for all of that. So understand that supermarket catering, those Whole Food stores catering, like, a Costco or those places, the reason why they can charge so cheap is because they're using ingredients that's already in their supermarkets, in their facilities, and they're stocking things. So it's easier for them to charge cheaper for catering because this is stuff that's coming from their hot buffet, from behind the counters, and all of that stuff. Whereas you're doing everything from scratch. So if someone is paying you, they're paying you for your specialty and for your service. You're not a supermarket. You're not a Costco. Charge your prices. Somebody will pay.
Yeah. And I saw a shirt the other day. It said, keep creating until someone notices.
Correct.
Put yourself out there. There's a million different types of toilet paper out there. You don't see Scott saying, oh, I don't want to be Scott anymore because Charmin's here. No.
Correct.
Create.
Correct.
Don't be afraid at all.
And keep hitting the same target over and over again. Like I said, just know your worth, know your strength, and know business if you're starting your own business. And if you are working for someone else, then really dive into your craft and just be the best you can be. And like you said, the same thing with McDonald's and Wendy's. McDonald's and Wendy's pretty much sell, and Burger King pretty much sells the same thing, different ways. and they're all right next to each other in malls and in stores and in street corners, you know. So I tell people all the time, yes, the competition gives you some ideas,
Mm-hmm.
but the reality is bring you to the table. No one could ever be like you. So whether you're cooking or whatever you're doing in life, bring yourself.
That's 100% true. Before we close
Yeah.
out, can you just give a spiel about your website, where we can find you, um,
Sure.
and all your social media accounts?
Thank you. Well, thank you. So, first of all, thank you guys so much, as well as Jamaro yourself. Thank you a million times for having me on here. This is such an honor, and I love doing this. So my handles are pretty easy at Natasha Chef, Natasha. And if you cannot remember how to spell my name, just remember Rocky and Bullwinkle. um, you know, and then the word chef, Chef. So on Instagram, I'm Natasha Chef. On Facebook, I'm Natasha Chef. On LinkedIn, I'm Natasha Chef. On Twitter, I'm Natasha Chef. I think the only one that might be a little off is Pinterest, and I don't use it as much. And my website is natashachef.com. So it's www.natasha, my first name, and then chef.com. I am in North Carolina, but I do a lot of online events. I'm a Barbadian girl, and that's, you can always email me as well at info@natashachef.com. Or you can call me at 917-648-2516. I still have my New York numbers because I still have the New York in me. Yep. And when COVID is over, I'm looking forward to having events where I take a group of people to Barbados and we eat our way through the country to learn its culture and its food. I'm looking forward to eventually when, like I say, going back to New York, where I lived for a very long time, and being able to immerse myself in the cuisine and the culture when everything is over. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you so much. And you said you do virtual cooking classes as well for
Yes,
couples
ma'am.
and groups as well?
Yes, ma'am. So I do couple one-on-one classes, couples for parents and children, or husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, or whatever, girlfriend and girlfriend. And I also do Zoom interactive cooking classes for small groups. So it could be a girlfriend's night out. It could be an organization that are just tired of having the same boring Zoom weekly meetings. You could change things up and make it interesting. It could be a book club, anything, a networking event. I am available to do those things online as well.
Okay. Oh, someone just said I'm booking Natasha for my clients. Oh, so be on the lookout if you have a booking coming.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ben. Yep. And like I said, if you know of anyone who, like I said, who has any corporations and they're really tired of those boring, and the holidays are coming around, we could jump on a Zoom event and just make it special. Like I said, food, like you said, food is universal. So
It is. It's a love language. She's teaching you guys a love language. So for all you husbands that want to give your wife something different for Christmas, all you wives that want to give your partner something different for Christmas, reach out to her. I probably will enlist your services because my husband's cooking game has slipped a little bit. So
yes, well, we have to get his cooking game back up.
yes, when we first started dating, he was in the kitchen. Now he's like, "So what are you cooking?" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no. This was
that way."
So thank you so much, Chef, for taking the time out this evening. I do want to let you all know that on Tuesday, December 1st, 7 p.m., WeINSPIRE will present Live to Inspire, Giving Tuesday edition via Instagram Live. So be on the lookout for that. We're going to shine light on our founder, Jamal. Woo, woo. And I believe he's lurking in the comments below. So, hey, Jamal.
Yes.
So thank you, Jamal, and we look forward to learning more about you December 1st on Instagram Live at 7 p.m. So looking forward to seeing you all there again as well. And I'm sure Chef Natasha could possibly, give us a quick recipe to go along with watching him live that night.
I will.
So we'll chat and chew with Jamal that evening then, okay?
Hey, Jamal said he's in the house. Yay! And and one thing I also want to mention that Jamal and I have gotten together and we're giving away a free cooking class. So if you like, subscribe, and mention us, we're drawing the raffle. I believe tomorrow is the last day to join this raffle, and you're going to get a one-on-one session with me. So if you're ready to be impressive for next week, so if you get the class and you book me before the holidays, get ready to wow your entire family. And if you do it after Thanksgiving, but for the Christmas holidays, just get ready to create some serious food that's going to have your family thinking that they're at a 5-star restaurant. So, yeah.
I love it all. I love it all. I love it all. So don't forget, guys, like, subscribe, share. You don't want to miss out on this opportunity at all because you guys saw that good stir fry she made tonight and how quick and easy it was at that.
Yeah.
So I'm sure she has more tricks up her sleeves when you get a one-to-one session with her. Okay?
Yay! And thank you so much for having me again, everyone, and have a blessed night. And thank you, Imani and everyone. Yes.
No problem. No problem. Lovely to see you. You all enjoy your evening. Enjoy your food. Okay?